Let's now bring in Rami Khoury. He is a distinguished public policy fellow at the American University of Beirut and joins us live from Boston. And Rami, can I start by asking you about your concerns regarding the American-Israeli ceasefire proposal?
Sure, Mariam. This is an extraordinary situation. It's like a script that was written by a Netflix drama writer with 5 or 6 characters, all of whom have central roles to play, and each one is following a different script and a different agenda. So Biden made this statement yesterday. He said it was an Israeli proposal. That's not clear that it was, or is it an American proposal? You have Biden and Netanyahu negotiating. You have Netanyahu and his right-wing extremists in the cabinet negotiating. You have the whole cabinet negotiating with the Israeli people who are, especially the families of the hostages, who are putting pressure on them to accept the deal. And you have Israel and Hamas negotiating at some point. So this is a really multidimensional process. All of the dimensions are important, but none of them are clear. And what is driving this right now, today literally, is the desperation of 2 seasoned politicians, Joe Biden and Benjamin Netanyahu, both of whom are in deep trouble with their electorate or with the law, with Netanyahu. And both of them are afraid of being thrown out of office or Netanyahu thrown into jail. So this is an extraordinary situation. But at the center of this are real issues that matter to Israel, to America, and to Hamas and the Palestinians. And those issues hopefully will be negotiated at some point very soon. But I just want to correct one point that you made when you or not you, but the statement that was issued by the 3 negotiators. The United States is not a mediator. The United States is an active participant in the genocide. It has actively supported Netanyahu since the day Biden went into the war cabinet 7.5 months ago. And they've constantly, the Americans, supported Israel enthusiastically. And they still do so at the UN. No ceasefire, all the ammunition they want, all the backing they want. So the U.S. and Israel are one party. Hamas and its supporters are the other. And all of these have to, at some point, sit down and negotiate the details that will build on the elements in the statement that Biden made.
Well, Rami, you're absolutely right about that last point. Obviously, Israel would not have been able to continue with this war for 8 months had it not been for American financial and military support. They've been given carte blanche. Yet Hamas appears to be willing to accept what the American president had to say. They were swift in their reaction last night. But now you have the likes of Itamar Ben-Gvir, National Security Minister. Those elements of Netanyahu's government saying that they are not willing to accept any proposal.
Right. Hamas actually made a similar proposal, almost identical to this, about a month or 2 ago. So this is expected that Hamas would respond positively to it. It gives it a lot of the things that it wants: stopping the war, releasing Palestinian prisoners in Israel, getting the Israeli army out of Gaza, if not all of it, most of it, and rebuilding Gaza and allowing humanitarian aid to come in at high levels. So those are the key demands that Hamas has made, and they're in the proposal. Netanyahu and his government, the right-wing part of his government, the people of Israel, all of these are different actors with different priorities. But driving this whole thing right now is really the almost, I would say, desperation of Joe Biden, who is terrified. He and his Democratic Party colonels are terrified that the base of the Democratic Party, young people, African Americans, Hispanic Americans, students, Jewish American progressives, are all abandoning the party and because of the genocide. So he's desperately trying to make a statement, a dramatic move that would maybe stop the war, and hoping that this will help him in November. It's not clear that that will actually happen. He might be able to have a ceasefire, but he's done so much damage to his country that it's really hard. Here in the U.S., people talk of him as a man of great moral failures because he sustained this genocide enthusiastically, personally, continuously, publicly, all the time, saying, you know, I'm a Zionist and Israel has to defend itself. He's gone way overboard from what is expected from a normal ally. So this is a fascinating process to watch. Let us hope that we actually zero in on the issues that matter.
Tell me, Rami, you mentioned the multiple dimensions to issues between the U.S. and Israel and Hamas, and then, you know, other countries in the region. But how is Netanyahu going to navigate elements of his extremist parts of his government with his American ally?
He's going to do it in the way that all politicians do it. He's going to lie. He's going to exaggerate. He's going to make promises he can't keep. He's going to make desperate moves that would allow him to stay in power, hoping that the parties in his coalition will stick with him and that this will satisfy the Americans. The Americans have shown that they have a very, very high threshold. They can withstand tremendous amounts of killing and starving Palestinians and being directly involved in that process. So there's not much difference between Joe Biden and the extreme right-wingers in the government of Israel, whether it's expanding the settlements, throwing trucks of humanitarian aid coming into Gaza onto the highway and burning them, burning Palestinian village olive orchards. The U.S. government has done very little to stop any of these acts. They make these statements, and Tony Blinken, who is a bit of a cartoon character, says, we want to lower the amount of suffering of Palestinians. And this is not serious. It's not credible. The United States no longer is believed by the vast majority of people in the Middle East and in the global south and much of the West. So these are the really difficult issues for both of these characters, for Netanyahu and for Biden. It's surprising that Hamas has made just this one statement, and we'll see what comes next. But I'd like to add one other element, which is intriguing. I think what you're starting to see and what you're going to see at some point soon is more direct, not negotiations, but messages from the U.S. to Hamas and from Hamas to the U.S. Because just like the U.S. negotiated with the Viet Cong after fighting them, with the Taliban after fighting them, they're going to negotiate with Hamas after trying to destroy them. And the message in Biden's statement yesterday was fascinating, that, well, Hamas has been brought to a level where it can't do any more damage. In other words, they're not a dangerous group anymore. I think that's the first step, unspoken, towards trying to engage them indirectly, obviously, which is the right thing to do, which is exactly what the United States do.
Rami Khouri, thank you very much.
Thank you.